Good morning, and thank all of you for joining us for this 23rd anniversary remembrance ceremony. Thank you to the Oklahoma City Fire Department who led our procession. I'm Justice Stephen Taylor, the chair of the Oklahoma City National Memorial Foundation, and we all thank you for joining us here today or online from around the country as we pause to remember. We are pleased to have several special guests with us today. From the United States Secret Service, Deputy Assistant Director Michael Breslin. From the Secret Service Office of Investigations, Special Agent in Charge Caroline O'Brien Buster. From the Department of Housing and Urban Development, General Counsel J. Paul Compton Jr. and Regional Administrator Beth Van Dyne. From the United States General Services Administration, Regional Administrator Bobby Babcock. Acting United States Attorney Robert Troster. Governor Mary Fallin and First Gentleman Wade Christensen. Governor Frank Keating. Mayor David Holt. Councilwoman Meg Salyer. Councilman Todd Stone, and Bob Ross, Vice Chairman of the Oklahoma City National Memorial Foundation. But most importantly, our special guests are the family members, the survivors, the first responders, law enforcement, and friends of those who were killed, those who survived, and those who were changed forever on April 19th, 1995. This year, I stand here looking across at the General Record Building. That building stood during the attack and where many of you found your way out. 6 short years later, in 2001, just months after the opening of the outdoor symbolic memorial, the Memorial Museum was able to rehab and remodel 50,000 square feet of the west end of the General Record Building into what is today recognized as a world-class museum. And then in 2015, we added the overlook and updated the museum to what is today known as one of the top 10 museums in the United States. We are grateful for the Payne family and Heritage Trust who purchased the east portion of the building from the city of Oklahoma City, remodeled, and now occupy the east end along with 3 other major tenants, resulting in several hundred people calling the east side of the building their work home. And we are proud to partner with the Payne family and their investment group in this important work. They could have chosen any building downtown, and we are so proud that they chose to share this historical building with the memorial and museum. They understand and embrace the importance of this site and how this site will forever be a reminder of our past and an inspiration for our future. We've always said that if we build the most beautiful and powerful memorial and museum, but we didn't bring people back to this part of the city, we wouldn't be accomplishing our mission of both remembering and rebuilding. So we are proud to partner with the Payne Family and Heritage Trust as we demonstrate our resilience and determination of helping rebuild downtown Oklahoma City. This building is a key piece, and we are glad to have them share it with us. We would also like to thank the city of Oklahoma City for stepping up in the days of planning the memorial and museum and helping us in every way to preserve this building. And to the city, we thank them for being patient as we waited for just the right co-owner to come into this space. With over 500,000 people from around the world visiting each year, people come here to show their respect and learn about the power of the Oklahoma spirit. Our memorial mission statement remains our cornerstone in shaping the important work that continues today. Here to share our mission statement is Jennifer Walker, whose father, David Walker, worked for the Department of Housing and Urban Development and was killed in the bombing.
We come here to remember those who were killed, those who survived, and those changed forever. May all who leave here know the impact of violence, and may this memorial offer comfort, strength, peace, hope, and serenity. Please join me in 168 seconds of silence.
Thank you, Jennifer. Jack Poe, chaplain of the Oklahoma City Police Department in April of 1995, was part of the spiritual ministry during the rescue and recovery efforts on this very site. The entire area became a holy place, and many have said there was more prayer in this 8-block area of Oklahoma City than there was for the entire world during that time. And many would agree that it was prayer that sustained us. Now retired, we call upon him once again to offer our blessing. Chaplain Poe.
Let us all bow together in prayer as we pray, as we remember this day. Loving Father, 23 years ago, our city experienced the unthinkable. Men who were discontent with our nation, filled with rage and hate, bombed our city. Our response to their hate was to meet it with love. Love for our city, love for one another, and love for our neighbors. And love has always overcome hate. On April the 19th, in 1995, Lieutenant John Clark came to me and said, "Chaplain, I have a verse for our city." And I said, "John, what is it?" And he quoted Psalms 34:18. God is near the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. If ever our hearts were broken and our spirits were crushed, it was on that day. From around the nation and the world, people called and told us they were praying for us. And I suppose there's no other place in the heartland prayed over more than this hallowed site. And then suddenly Oklahoma City became more than a place on a map. It became a place in the hearts of the American people. And we saw the results of love in many ways. We saw love played out in the lives of our first responders and our volunteers, and each day showed the world the Oklahoma spirit. We read about it when it was written on the back of our Oklahoma City cruisers, who wrote these words, "We will never forget." And we're here today to remember the lives lost and the lives changed forever. And may our hearts take courage, our hope be in you, and your message of the power of love, that it transforms us into your likeness. We pray in your most holy and precious name. Amen.
Jack, we thank you, as well as all the members of the Oklahoma City Police and Fire Departments who remain an important part of our recovery and rebuilding. In the immediate aftermath of the bombing, police officers used shoe polish to write "We will never forget" on their squad car windows. It's important that we continue sharing our story with the next generation. And one way to do that is through their involvement in today's anniversary ceremony. We are pleased to have Campbell Walker Fields, a junior vocal major at Classen School of Advanced Studies, here with us to sing our national anthem. Please stand for the raising of the colors by the combined honor guard of the Oklahoma City Police and Fire Departments and IMSA.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and
You may be seated. Thank you, Campbell, for your tribute to our nation. The Memorial Foundation is fortunate to have trustees who are dedicated to the mission of the Oklahoma City National Memorial and Museum. One trustee is our city's newly elected mayor, who was a high school student at the time of the bombing. He is a frequent visitor to this site, offering his insight and perspective on how we can continue sharing our story with the next generation. Today is his 10th day in office. I'm very proud of him, and I have great hope for the future of this city because of our new mayor, David Holt.
Thank you, Justice Taylor. Thank you for your commitment and service to this place and to the rest of the board. Thank you to Carrie and her team. As our mayor and as my predecessors always have, I want to express our city's deepest condolences, honor, and remembrance to those who were killed, those who survived, and those who were changed forever. I would also like to express again our city's enormous gratitude. And I see the words, they're behind you, but they face us here on the stage around the survivor tree. Our deepest gratitude, as it says there, to those who responded from near and far. We offer our eternal gratitude. And I want to also add especially to our Oklahoma City Fire and Police. As a citizen of this city, I want to make a commitment to you this morning. The passage of time is relentless. As Justice Taylor said, today I am your mayor, but on this day 23 years ago, I was a sophomore at Putnam City North High School here in Oklahoma City. Somewhere in our city this morning, there's a 30-year-old mother who is dropping her child off who has but the dimmest memories of April 19th, 1995. And somewhere in our city this morning is a 19-year-old firefighter who just joined our department who has no memory of the day at all because he wasn't alive. In our mission statement, which you heard moments ago, it mentions those who were killed, those who survived, and those who were changed forever. I think it is that last group. I think that will grow, and I think that the meaning of that phrase changes as time goes on. When it was written 20 years ago, it meant those who maybe experienced the event from afar or through neighbors or through the news, or maybe family members. But today I think it takes on a new meaning, and as the years go on, I think that meaning grows and that group enlarges. Who is not changed forever when they visit Auschwitz? Who is not changed forever when they visit the World Trade Center site? And who is not changed forever when they visit this sacred place? And it is incumbent upon my generation and rising generations, especially if we live here in Oklahoma City, to carry on the lessons of April 19th and to touch lives and to make sure that all experience this place and are changed forever and understand empathy and compromise and that political violence is never the answer. And so I make that commitment to you this morning as a young citizen of this city that I will continue to carry forward that lesson and tell that story, and I call upon my generation and rising generations to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Holt, and we look forward to your leadership of our city, and we look forward to your involvement here with the Oklahoma City National Memorial. In 1995, she served as our lieutenant governor. She spent many days at this site, comforting family members, participating in briefings, and today she returns as our governor. Mary Fallon has given her entire adult life to public service. In the State House, as Lieutenant Governor, in the United States Congress, and now as Governor. And today we honor her for that service and commend her leadership. Please welcome Governor Mary Fallin.
Well, thank you, Justice. We appreciate your great leadership as chair of this board of the Oklahoma City Memorial. And to all the board members, we appreciate your service too and your leadership. And to Carrie Watkins, who is the director of the Oklahoma Memorial. This is always a very special day, April 19th in Oklahoma. One where we come together to remember, to comfort each other, to show our love for each other. And of course, we will never forget the tremendous leadership of Governor Frank Keating, April 19th, 1995. The governor guided us through a very difficult moment in our state's history. 23 years ago, while the rest of the world, our whole nation, and certainly all of our Oklahomans watched as we were challenged by one of our darkest moments in time in our state. I want to commend Governor Keating, as my last year as governor, to say thank you for your tremendous leadership. Governor Keating mobilized the efforts of the state, even those who came from across the nation and the world, to help organize the relief teams, to help support the families, the rescue efforts, and certainly to be able to handle our Oklahoma family members. All in all, on that particular time period, we had about 12,000 people that came from across Oklahoma, across the nation, and around the world, and participated in the relief and the rescue efforts and operations after the bombing. And Governor Keating was a steady hand that inspired us all to step up at a time of crisis for our state. I also want to mention former First Lady Kathy Keating, as Kathy Keating was the epitome of love and compassion and having a servant's heart to be able to organize so many different efforts to respond with our charities and our volunteers to support our rescue operations, the firefighters, the police officers, and other first responders that helped so much that day. And April 19th, 1995, 23 years ago, will be a moment in time in Oklahoma's history that we will never forget. And Mayor, I appreciate your words to talk about future generations of Oklahomans that were not even born during that time, because it is important that we help them to remember that violence and overcoming tragedy and difficult times is something that we all need to be prepared for, and I appreciate your comments on that. That particular time at 23 years ago, my children were 4 and 7. Today they're 31 and 27. They remember a little bit themselves, but we don't want our future generations of Oklahomans to forget that. And I also remember that particular day, and one event that occurred during that same time period was that we held our annual Mayor's Metro Prayer Breakfast. It was yesterday here in Oklahoma City. And on that day, 23 years ago, the same day as the bombing, we gathered as a city to pray, to talk about our faith, to read scripture, to hear a speaker give his testimony about the faithfulness of God, to help us through life's challenges. 1,200 people left that morning, mothers and fathers, grandfathers, grandmothers, sons and daughters, and little did we know that around 30 minutes after we left at 8:30, 32 minutes, that we would experience one of the greatest tragedies in our state's history and certainly in the nation's history. But we also didn't know how much we would need to lean on our faith, the love and compassion of our fellow citizens that would carry us through that very difficult time as we all left the Cox Convention Center from that prayer service and went back to our families, to our work, to whatever we might have had going on that day. And as we all know, at 9:02 a.m. that morning, an unimaginable, shocking act of terrorism struck Oklahoma City and struck our nation. And we lost 168 wonderful Oklahomans, including 19 small children in that attack, and of course, hundreds were also injured. So today we are here, as we are every single year, to remember those we lost, to keep in prayer those that survive, to pray for their families, pray for them, to express our deepest gratitude for the first responders, the volunteers, the charities, those who gave so much, and to let them know that we will never forget, that forever we will remember. Even after 23 years, there are still so many people that are suffering, that hurt, that feel such a great simple sense of loss, just like it had happened yesterday. So we want to let them know that we will always remember, we will always be here year after year to stand with them and to also honor and celebrate what became known as the Oklahoma Standard. Oklahomans helping Oklahomans, the love and compassion that we demonstrated to the rest of the world. The Murrah bombing was meant to be an attack on our federal government, to be attacked upon our nation. Of course, we saw it as an attack on our Oklahoma family. But the good news is we responded like a family. We grieved together, we prayed together, we rebuilt together, we healed together, and we have grown together. Our state is strong. It is Oklahoma strong. Wherever there is someone in need during that time period of the bombing, whenever there was, people stepped forward. And I can still remember a gentleman who was watching on the news all the rescue efforts, and he drove up at a time when there was a call out for just a simple thing like boots to be able to protect the rescue workers. And he drove up from his job, and Governor, you talked about this. He took off his boots right there on the spot and said, I can do without these days, but there is someone out here at this site that needs my boots. Take them. That was the type of response that we saw. Or the school children who collected pennies and gave of their effort in a very meaningful way. It was a dark time, but we shone our light through the Oklahoma Standard. And as a community, we showed the spirit of resilience, of love, of compassion, of neighbor helping neighbor, and it was witnessed by the whole world. And of course, our faith did play a big part in that. So as we remember once again today, let us continue to put our faith and hope and trust in God. Let us continue to offer our prayer and our support for those who still suffer, and let us not forget those who gave so much, who lost so much, but also the faith and hope in the Oklahoma strong that we became after this tragedy. May God bless you, and may God bless Oklahoma. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you very much. Thank you, Governor Fallon. Today we are announcing our second Oklahoma Standard Award. It is an honor that was established 3 years ago with the help and the idea of Trustee Sam Presti. Sam knew the qualities that embody this award are the same qualities that set us apart 23 years ago today. And so Sam is back today because he started this, and we asked him to present this award. So I present to you Sam Presti, the Vice President and General Manager of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and also a member of our Board of Directors. Sam.
Good morning. Judge Alfred P. Murrow said, "The greatest rewards in life come from living outside and beyond oneself." Out of the tragedy of the bombing came the best characteristics of Oklahomans, those of service, honor, and kindness. Today, 23 years later, people are living these same qualities of the Oklahoma Standard. This is why it's important that we recognize an individual each year who exemplifies these qualities through their personal or professional endeavors. U.S. Grant High School teacher Drew Rhodes is a third-generation Oklahoma teacher. He's extremely passionate about leaving a lasting impact on his students through his teaching model, life is temporary, inspiration is forever. He's most notably remembered by a student's photo that went viral on the internet when U.S. Grant went into lockdown after a former student was found inside the school with a gun in his backpack. Since the latch on his door was broken, Drew guarded the door with a chair and a piece of a broken desk, ready to put his life on the line for the safety of his students. Beyond that, Drew understands the colossal importance of teaching the lessons learned from the bombing to children. He's been an integral part in developing new lesson plans that we use here at the museum today, and is quick to volunteer his time to give meaningful feedback on our educational programs. Today, we're pleased to present the 2018 Oklahoma Standard Award to Drew Rhodes. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Drew, and thank you, Sam. Someone who saw the Oklahoma Standard firsthand, Governor Fallon's already mentioned this. 23 years ago, Governor Frank Keating faced this tragedy as our governor. He and his wife, Kathy, led us through this darkest hour. He often remarks that it was during this time that we learned the power of unity. We learned that great things can happen when we come together, that it was unity that helped us regain our footing and recover. It was unity that helped rebuild this city, and it's no coincidence that unity anchors the word community. On Saturday, Governor and Mrs. Keating joined members of Team 5, made up of first responders from Metro, state, and federal law enforcement and fire departments, as well as representatives of federal agencies housed in the building, to repaint the message sprayed on the wall in 1995. It's over on this south wall of the building that you can all see today. And that message was, we search for the truth, we seek justice, the courts require it, the victims cry for it, and God demands it. We are pleased today to be joined by Governor Frank Keating. Governor.
Thanks, Judge. Thank you, Judge, and thank you, Governor Fallon, for your wonderful remarks, and obviously Mayor Holt as well. 2 generations, I shouldn't say 2 generations, but maybe 1.5 generations of leadership and goodness in our community. Today, we pause to also remember the impact that Reverend Billy Graham had on our city in April of 1995. He was one of the first to come here to help. When my wife Kathy called him to ask him to participate in the memorial prayer service just 4 days after the bombing, he was recovering from a bad bout of the flu. But he said, we will be there. And he and his wife got on a plane and came to Oklahoma City to be with us. They came to the site and met with first responders and also family members who had lost so much and survivors who had walked out of the buildings. Billy Graham stood with us in our darkest hour. Even though he left this earth in February, just a few days ago, he still impacts our city today. His words are inscribed on the inside of the Survivor Tree Promontory, and his words were, the spirit of this city shall not be defeated. Our deeply rooted faith sustains us. We are honored to be joined by Tom Phillips, the Vice President of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, who is with Dr. Graham from day one. Tom, please stand and let us recognize you. Today, we honor and remember Reverend Graham, a man who will forever be a part of the fabric of our city and a vital, respected, and revered part of our healing.
Long after the rubble is cleared and the rebuilding begins, the scars of this senseless and evil outrage will remain. But we come together here today not only to pray and forgive and love. Times like this will do one of two things. It will either make us hard and bitter and angry at God, or they will make us tender and open and help us to reach out in trust and faith. And I think that's what the people of Oklahoma are doing.
You're the God of this city. You're the King of these people. You're the Lord of this nation. You are. And you're the light in this darkness. You're the hope to the hopeless. You're the peace to the restless. You are. And there is no one like our God. There is no one like our God. For greater things have yet to come, greater things are still to be done in this city. Yeah. For greater things have yet to come, greater things are still to be done in this city.
The forces of hate and violence must not be allowed to gain their victory. Not just in our society, but in our hearts. Nor must we respond to hate with more hate. This is a time of coming together, and we've seen that already. What an example Oklahoma City and the people of Oklahoma have given to the world. A tragedy like this could have torn this city apart, but instead it has united you in a way that you've never been united before. Today, it's my prayer that all Americans will rededicate ourselves to a new spirit of brotherhood and compassion, working together to solve the problems and barriers that would tear us apart.
And there is no one like our God. And there is no one like you, God. For greater things have yet to come, and greater things still to be done in this city. Oh. For greater things have yet to come, greater things are still to be done in this city. Yeah. For greater things have yet to come, greater things are still to be done here. Oh, oh, oh.
The spirit of this city and this nation will not be defeated. The wounds of this tragedy are deep, but the courage and the faith and determination of the people of Oklahoma City are even deeper.
We come here to remember those at the Oklahoma Water Resources Board building. Trudy Jean Rigney, Robert N. Chipman. We remember those at the Athenia Building Job Corps. Catherine Elizabeth Ridley, Anita Christine Hightower. We remember rescue worker Rebecca Needham Anderson. We remember those who were killed in the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, U.S. Secret Service, 9th floor. Alan G. Witcher. Kathy Lynn Seidel. Linda G. McKinney. Mickey B. Maroney. Donald Ray Leonard. Cynthia L. Brown. We remember our friends and family with the Drug Enforcement, 9th floor. Kenneth Glenn McCullough. My daughter, Carrie Ann Lenz, and my grandson, baby Michael James Lenz III. Rona Lynn Keener Chafee. Carol June Chip Fields. Shelley D. Bland.
We remember those who were killed in the Department of Housing and Urban Development, 8th floor. Clarence Eugene Wilson, Sr. Francis Fran Ann Williams. Michael D. Weaver. Our grandfather, David Jack Walker. Jules A. Valdez. Leora Lee Sells. Lanny Lee David Scroggins. Antonio Tony C. Reyes. Dr. George Michael Howard, DVM. Susan Jane Farrell. Kimberly K. Clark.
Donald Earl Burns, Sr. David Neil Burkett. Peter R. of Illinoisa. Ted L. Allen. We continue to remember our friends and family with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, 7th floor. Joanne Wittenberg. John Carl Van Ness III. John Thomas Stewart. Terry Smith Reese. Patricia Ann Nix. Betsy J. B.B. McConnell. James A. McCarthy II. Mary Leisure Renty. Teresa Lee Taylor Lauderdale. Anne Kremborg.
We continue to remember our friends and family with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, 7th floor. Thompson Eugene Jean Hodges, Jr. J. Colleen Giles. Linda Louise Florence. Judy J. Fro Fisher. Castine Brooks Hearn Devereaux. Diana Lynn Day. Kim R. Cousins. Andrea Yvette Blanton. Diane E. Hollingsworth Althouse. We continue to remember our friends and family with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, 5th floor. Paul Gregory Beatty Brocksterman. We remember our friends of the United States Marine Corps recruiting, 6th floor. Captain Randolph A. Guzman, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Benjamin Lorenzo Davis, United States Marine Corps. We remember those with the U.S. Customs, 5th floor. Claude Arthur Medeiros, Senior Special Agent. Paul D. Ice, Senior Special Agent. We remember our friends and family with the Department of Agriculture, 5th floor. Rita Bender Long. Carol Sue Khalil. Doris Adele Higginbottom. Richard Dick Cummins. My mother, Dr. Margaret L. Peggy Clark. James E. Bowles. Olin Burl Bloomer.
We remember those with the U.S. Army Recruiting Battalion, 4th floor. Wanda Lee Watkins. Kayla Marie Titsworth. Dolores D. Stratton. Victoria Vicky L. Son. John C. Moss III. Peggy Louise Holland. Karen Gist Carr. Sergeant First Class Lola Bolden, U.S. Army. We remember our friends with the Department of Transportation, Federal Highway, 4th floor. John A. Youngblood. Johnny Allen Wade. Rick L. Tomlin. Michelle A. Reeder. Jerry Lee Parker. Renata Ann Newberry Woodbridge. James K. Martin, Larry James Jones, Michael Carrillo, Mark Allen Bolte, Lucio Oklahoman Jr.
We remember our friends and family with the Federal Employees Credit Union, 3rd floor. Teresa Joe Mathis Wharton. Virginia M. Thompson. Victoria Jeanette Texter. Karen Howell Shepard. Sonia Lynn Sanders. Christy Rosas. Claudine Ritter. Jill Diane Randolph. Frankie Ann Merrill. Claudette Duke Meek. Kathy Cagle Linen.
Valerie Joe Kelsch. Alvin J. Justice. Christy Yolanda Jenkins. Robin Ann Huff and baby Amber Denise Huff. Linda Colleen Housley. Sheila R. Gigger Driver and baby Gregory N. Driver II.
My mother.
And my grandmother, Jamie Fakowski Ginzer.
We continue to remember our friends and family with the Federal Employees Credit Union, 3rd floor. My mother, Kathy A. Finley. Kimberly Ruth Burgess. Woodrow Clifford Woody Brady. We remember our friends and family with the Defense Security, 3rd floor. Robert G. Westbury. Larry L. Turner. Norma Jean Johnson. Peter L. DeMaster. Harley Richard Cunningham. We remember our visitor on the 2nd floor, Scott D. Williams.
We remember our friends and family from the America's Kids Child Development Center, 2nd floor. Colton Wade Smith. Chase Dalton Smith. Dominique Rayvay Johnson London. Blake Ryan Kennedy. Wanda Lee Howe. Kevin Lee Goshell II. And my son, Tevin DeAndre Garrett Tyler Santoy Eves, Brenda Faye Daniels, JC Ray Corn, Elijah S. Coverdale, Aaron M. Coverdale, Antonio and Sarah Cooper Jr., Anthony Christopher Cooper II, Dana Leanne Cooper, Zachary Taylor Chavez, Danielle Nicole Bell, and Miss Bailey Almond. We remember our friends and family from the General Services Administration, first floor. Michael L. Loudon Slayer, Stephen Douglas Curry,
We remember our friends and family from Social Security Administration, first floor. Sharon Louise Wood Chestnut, W. Stephen Williams, Julie Marie Welch, Robert Ann Walker Jr., Luther H. Trainer, LaRue A. Trainer, Michael George Thompson,
Charlotte Andrea Lewis Thomas, Emilio Tapia, Eula Lee Mitchell, Derwin W. Miller, Courtney J. McRaven, Reverend Gilbert X. Martinez, Robert Lee Luster Jr., Aurelia Donna Luster, Airman First Class Lakeisha Richardson Levy,
Raymond Lee Johnson, Jean Nutting Hurlbert, Dr. Charles E. Hurlbert, Thomas Lynn Hawthorne Sr., our Uncle Ronald Vernon Harding Sr.,
We continue to remember our friends and family from the Social Security Administration, first floor. Cheryl E. Hammond, Ethel L. Griffin, Margaret Betterton Goodson, Laura Jane Garrison, Mary Ann Fritzler, Don Fritzler, Ashley Megan Eccles, Catherine Louise Cregan, Gabrielle D.L. Bruce, Peachlin Bradley, Carol Louise Byers, Cassandra K. Booker, Olita C. Biddy, and our mother Piola Battle, our father Calvin Battle, Sandra G. Avery, Pamela Cleveland Argo, Richard A. Allen, Teresa Antoinette Alexander.
Thank you to our readers. A difficult and honorable job. Thank you all very, very much. The events of April 19th, 1995 dramatically changed Oklahoma City and all of us who remember that spring morning. But the stories of the 168 people killed live in our hearts as well as in the Oklahoma City National Memorial and Museum. Today, admittance to the museum is free for everyone and will remain open until 5 o'clock. Thank you to Cox Communications as a part of Cox Community Day. The survivor tree embodies our nation's spirit of hope and healing, strength and resilience. Every year, seedlings are distributed to people in communities throughout the United States to help share the lessons we have learned. Saplings from the survivor tree are available today following the ceremony in front of the museum. We thank all of you for joining us today for this 23rd anniversary ceremony. May our Oklahoma City National Memorial and Museum be a place of history, reflection, where we come to remember and leave with resolve. Thank you all very much.